negative pressure. Negative pressure means the vacuum. Negative pressure means vacuum. All of you, please write down the diagram. Please, all of you, write down the diagram. McLeod vacuum gauge. McLeod vacuum gauge. See, this is the measuring capillary, and it is connected to a reference capillary like this. And this, the bottom of this measuring capillary has the opening which is connected to the mercury reservoir. This is the flexible tube, and this is the piston. This is a piston. Before measuring the negative pressure, move this piston up and down, so which contains the mercury. The mercury rises inside the measuring capillary as well as reference capillary, and the reference capillary has the opening. You have to connect this to the source. So where you want to measure the negative pressure, you have to connect this to the source. So this is the principle of operation of McLeod vacuum gauge, and this is works on principle of Boyle's gas law. P1 V1 equal to P2 V2. Boyle's gas law. All of you, please write down this diagram. ಹೌದಾ? ಇಟ್ಕೋ Hello. ಹಲೋ. ಹೇಳಮ್ಮ. ನಿಂದ? ಹಾ ಹಾ ಹಾ. ಗಾಡಿ ಮುಂದ್ಗಡೆ 600 ತಗೊಂಡೋಗ್ಬಿಟ್ಟೆ ಹಾಕ್ಸು. ಹಾ, ಹೆಂಗಾದ್ರೂ ಸರಿ. ಹಾ ಹಾ. Hello, all of you. Pawan, just unmute yourself and tell me. Screen is
ಸರ್
visible?
ಕೇಳಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದೆ.
Oh,
Yes,
okay.
sir.
Screen?
Yes, sir.
ಸರ್
ಕಾಣಿಸ್ತಿದೆ sir.
ಕಾಣಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದೆ.
Okay, okay. Okay, for this, the good example is vacuum flask. You have thermal flask in your house, you know? So in that you have two layers. One is front and the other one is the top layer. So in between the two layers, they create a vacuum. They create vacuum. They create vacuum. So if you want to measure the pressure in between two layers, that is negative pressure. That for that reason it is called vacuum pressure gauge. So you can measure the pressure in the two layers of the flask. So that you can measure by using the McLeod vacuum gauge. This gauge developed by McLeod. For that reason it is called McLeod vacuum gauge. Once again, so all of you observe here, this is measuring capillary and this is the head, pressure head, which is coming after the measuring. Result of the measurement is measured in the reference capillary. This is the applied pressure. You have to connect this end to the source. That may be vacuum pressure. That is, in case of vacuum, you connect this end to the source. That is P1. And next, this is the measuring capillary. And all of you observe here 0 to 5. Inside this capillary and the measuring capillary, there will be a provision to fill both the capillary with the mercury. Fill both the capillary with the mercury. So this end of the measuring capillary is connected to a reservoir. This contains the mercury, and this is the piston and the cylinder. So you can adjust the volume of the mercury so that the mercury level in the measuring capillary and the reference capillary should read 0. Should read 0. As I told you earlier, the any measuring instrument set the instrument to read 0. To read 0, that is called null balance, and connect this end to the source. Before connecting this, before applying the negative pressure here, the mercury should read 0, that is called null balance. And after connecting this, before connecting this, the adjustment in the McLeod vacuum gauge, which satisfies the Boyle's gas law, that is P1 V1 equal to P2 V2. Is P1 V1 equal to P2 V2. That indicates the change in the volume due to negative pressure, that equal to V1 equal to P1 divided by P2 V2. P2 V2 divided by V1. That is the volume change due to negative pressure in the McLeod gauge. All of you observe here. Connect this end, this tube to the source where you want to measure the negative pressure. And all of you observe here, in the reference capillary as well as measuring capillary, in between that there will be graduations that indicates 0 to 5 negative pressure, and there will be mercury present in the measuring capillary and the reference capillary. In turn, the measuring capillary is connected to a reservoir which contains enough mercury, and you want to adjust the mercury to read 0. For that reason, press this plunger along with the piston downward direction so that then the mercury level in the measuring capillary and the reference capillary should be 0. Should be 0. That is null balance. When you connect this end to the source, then the negative pressure is the pressure on the mercury. The level of the mercury come down and read the point where it stops. That is H. That is H. The complete volume, that is 0 to 5, is HC. And remember, all of you, this is a very, very important. The examination point of view, almost all the question paper, you have a question on McLeod gauge. McLeod gauge. All of you, please write the question. Please write down the question. How do you measure the negative? How do you measure the negative or vacuum pressure. How do you measure the negative pressure or vacuum? Put a question mark. Next line, write down one more question. The same type of question you have in the examination. Mark it very, very important. Explain briefly. Explain briefly with neat sketch explain briefly with neat sketch McLeod vacuum gauge. McLeod vacuum gauge. Put a question mark. Least applications. Least applications and limitations. Least and limitations. Once again, what are the things present in McLeod vacuum gauge? First, this is the tube where you have to connect the source, that is applied pressure P1. And next, you have two capillaries. One is reference capillary, another one is measuring capillary. And in between measuring capillary and the reference capillary, there will be graduations starting from 0 to 5. Here you have to measure the mercury level in the reference capillary or in the measuring capillary. And I mentioned indicates measuring capillary. The level of the mercury in the measuring capillary indicates the negative pressure. And at the end of this measuring capillary, which is connected to the reservoir, mercury reservoir. This mercury reservoir contains enough mercury in order to fill the measuring capillary and reference capillary, and the mercury reservoir has the piston and cylinder, and you can increase the level of the mercury in the measuring capillary and the reference capillary by moving the piston downward direction, so that the mercury level increases in the measuring capillary as well as in the reference capillary. And next, principle of operation. When before measuring the negative pressure, adjust the mercury level to read zero or null balance. Zero or null balance. Then you connect this end to the pressure source. As the pressure come in this direction, this arrow mark, which adds the pressure on the mercury, and the mercury level goes down. The mercury level goes down due to the vacuum pressure. When the mercury level is come to the standstill position, measure the level in the measuring capillary in using the graduations present in between the two capillaries. The level may be 2, 3, 4 like this. And then connect this point to the mercury reservoir. So this mercury reservoir, the mercury moves in this direction, fills the reservoir. So this is the principle of operation of McLeod vacuum gauge. McLeod vacuum gauge. Examination point of view, this is very, very important. You can expect this question in the second part of module 5. Usually, this is the 10th question in your question paper. Remember, this McLeod vacuum gauge works on Boyle's law. Boyle's gas law. Boyle's gas law. That is P1 V1 equal to P2 V2. You have to measure the pressure P1 equal to P2 V2 divided by V1. You know the P1, you know the P2, you know the V1, and you know the level of mercury in the measuring capillary. Substitute this value, you will get the pressure. This is the simple relationship. This is works on Boyle's gas law. Boyle's gas law P1 P1 equal to P2 V2 divided by V1. So this is very, very important. You can mark it very, very important. This time you will have this question in the examination. Now I stop at this stage and I will continue in the next class. And today you have test test at 2:45.
Sir, important question answer.
Don't worry, Pawan. Don't worry about important question. Everything is available in the notes. Just go through that. ಹಲೋ ಹಾ ಯಾರು ಹೇಳಿ ಹಾ ಹಾ ಒಂದ್ 10 ನಿಮಿಷ ಬಿಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ ನಾನು ಆನ್ಲೈನ್ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ ಹಾ